Hi, this is Lucky Robin, and today I am just going to show you spaghetti sauce that I make just from the things I have in my pantry. So I have a pint of tomatoes here, and I've poured off the water, and I use that to rehydrate my Thrive onions, which I have a cup of. I have 2 tablespoons of garlic minced. Now, all of these herbs, except for the salt and pepper, came from my garden, and I dried them myself. This is a tablespoon of oregano, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of basil, a teaspoon of thyme, a half a tablespoon of Italian parsley, a teaspoon of marjoram, and a teaspoon of pepper. And then I have a pound, 2 1/4 cups of ground sausage crumbles from Thrive, but any sausage crumbles or even ground beef would work, or any ground meat really. I've got a can of tomato paste and 2 cans of tomato sauce. We'll start with just adding a little bit of olive oil into our pan. Turning the heat on to medium, or 350. We'll start off by sauteing our garlic. I know this seems like a lot of garlic, but it really, we love the garlic flavor it imparts to the sauce. We are very much on flavoring with garlic and herbs, and just not accepting what comes plain from the store. And especially when I can make something that to me tastes better by sprucing it up a little bit like this. Alright, got our sizzle started. We're just going to saute this around for about 30 seconds. Now I'm going to add in the onions that I rehydrated in the tomato water. And of course you can just use a cup of freshly chopped onions or frozen onions from your garden that you put up earlier in the year. And even though these particular onions don't actually have to be cooked, I just like to do it because I think it builds the flavor profile quite a lot. So about a minute or 2 on the onions. Okay, after 2 minutes I'm going to add in the diced tomatoes. And let those cook for about a minute. Alright, it's been a minute, so now I'm going to add in the sausage. And we're just going to brown this a little bit. Now with the Thrive sausage, you don't actually need to cook it. It's pre-cooked, but again, I like building the flavor profile. And you don't have to use this much meat in your sauce, but I've got a teenage boy and a hungry husband, and when we don't use this much, they come back looking around for something else to eat a couple hours later. Alright, I'm going to let that brown for a few minutes and then I'll come back to you. Alright, the next step is to put in the 2 jars of tomato sauce. And if you want to make this stretch further, you can put in 3 jars of tomato sauce. Alright, I'm going to stir that in. And then we're going to dump in our spices and herbs. And get that nice and mixed in. Now I do this before I add the tomato paste because it's harder to distribute the herbs once the tomato paste is in here. You may want to adjust the salt and pepper to taste after this, but I found that this flavors it pretty well, especially when I'm using sausage and not ground beef. Now, put in the tomato paste. This just gives a little more thickness and a bit of a tang. I like the slight sharpness of tomato paste. I'm going to take it out. I tend to spread it around in chunks because it'll incorporate better than just plopping it in the middle in one chunk. What I use when I make my lasagna as well. Only I don't put the meat in it. I do the meat and the sauce separate. Now I just kind of smoosh down on those chunks of tomato paste so it will incorporate a little easier into the sauce itself. You don't want to have a glob of tomato paste on your spoon because it'll be way too tangy then. I've been making it this way maybe, oh, I don't know, 20 years now. When I make it with my lasagna, it's always a big hit at Christmas, for the Christmas lasagna. Everyone always talks about how much they love the sauce, but you know, everybody has their own flavor interests. Some people like a sweeter sauce, and some people like a more tangy sauce. So if you like a sweeter sauce, I would skip the tomato paste and just add more tomato sauce. Alright, we're just going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes and it'll be done. Alright, we're just going to add a little bit more pepper. A little bit more salt. A little bit more. And take another taste. Come on off the spoon, there we go. My most discerning palate. Perfect, okay, then we are done. Alright, we'll give this the little taste test. Just as good as always. So perfect for my taste buds, and maybe perfect for yours too.